What's happening, everybody? Ryan and Real Estate. It is Ryan Adams, your favorite Houston realtor. Today we are talking right into the question, why are so many Californians moving to Texas? Besides that we are the great state that we are here in Texas, and there's so many wonderful things like our very huge mountains that we hear, the fantastic weather. No, I'm just kidding. Those are things we don't necessarily like, but there are a lot of great reasons we do love living in Texas, and Californians have figured that out. In fact, for the last 10 years, I think 2009 to 2019, we've had a total of about 885,000 people move into Texas, and of that, 303,000 were from the big old state, second biggest state of California. But interestingly, and since COVID started, we've had a 36% increase in Californians moving to Texas. Why are they doing it? Probably some simple facts, but let me help you figure it out. Number one, space. If you've ever been to like LA, Southern California, San Francisco, those guys are packed on top of each other. And I think we all agreed in COVID, like when everybody was locked down, we needed a little more space. So Californians felt that as well. That's probably one of the reasons. The other reason is a pretty simple reason, is that things in Texas are just they're bigger, but they're also a little bit cheaper. In fact, the state of California spends about 60% more on each resident based on their total spending than Texas does. So we're not big spenders when it comes to government out here, and therefore taxpayers typically don't feel that. Where do you gain financially if you're moving from California to Texas? And if you're thinking about coming here, feel free to drop a comment. If you want to ask some questions, I'll be glad to answer those for you. But if you're moving from California to Texas, where are you really going to save? Number one, you're probably going to save on that no state income tax, which means when you make dollars, that means that you're going to get to keep all those dollars from that the state would have taken from taxes. Now the federal, they're still going to get you on your taxes, but from a state level, there's no state income tax. But we do have higher property taxes here in Texas. But the difference is that our property values are much lower. The average property value for Texas is right at $375,000 for a median family home. In California, you're looking at $800,000. So even though you may have a lower property tax in California, it costs you much more to get a home. And therefore, you could be paying around similar to what you would be paying here in Texas. That's one of the biggest reasons. The other thing is that overall, this may seem crazy, Californians actually spend more money on education than any other state besides New York City. But that means they're also spending more money than Texas, but students' outcome in education is actually better in Texas. So Californians are spending more money, but not getting the results that Texas is actually getting. So if you're looking for even an educational standpoint, you're gonna get that. You're gonna get the space, you're gonna get better tax breaks, and here's a great math to figure this out from a tax break standpoint. If you're making $250K a year, and you're making that in California, and you're making that in Texas, and by the way, we are not seeing that much of an increase in jobs in California. So Texas and California is pretty much make a very similar level of money, except California's getting more. But let's say you're making $250,000 in California. At the end of the day, you're probably gonna be going home with about $125,000 of that $250,000. In Texas, the average person is making $250,000, they're probably going home with about $175,000. So you're getting $50K extra to be able to live here in Texas from a job standpoint. So that being said, the other part of it is economically, we're doing great. We have a balanced budget. I think California may have just recently gotten their balanced budget, but they have a historical of overspending. And you know, it's one of the things we love about Texas is that the government does not really charge us for a ton of stuff. We may not have all the bells and whistles that you guys and the different things that maybe some of you want, but they kind of leave that freedom up to you. We're not getting political by any sort of imagination, but it is kind of one of the things that's made Texas where it's at, no state income tax. We mainly make that income off of the property taxes here. But what is better than Texas is that weather in California. I gotta admit, 72-degree weather, and today I think the temperature is 103 with maybe like 50% humidity. So yes, the weather's better, but is it worth $50K a year on average? Maybe not, maybe it is. Either way, that's the main reason that people are moving. And if you look at a lot of the big corporations, they're moving out of California. I think California over COVID has gotten a little bit more over restricted, and a lot of people are just looking for less restrictions because we've kind of gone through a couple of years of highly over restrictive policies. And so that being said, that's what's going on. If you have any questions, please drop a comment. I would love to help answer any questions you can. Also check out these 2 videos. One I did on capital gains and kind of do your best way to get exempted from those, and one on what are the property taxes here in Texas and what does that look like for you. Check out those 2 videos and that should help you if you're thinking about moving from California to Texas. Until then, we'll see you next time on Rhino Real Estate.